My name is Kendall and I'm 14 years old. When I first heard about the Swahili camp, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a classroom setting where we were only like, we weren't having any practical like use of Swahili and we were just like learning it on a whiteboard and stuff. But when I actually came to the Tayari.Yoruba camp, it was a lot more fun than that. We had a lot of activities and a lot of chances to like apply or in games and activities. And yeah. Some of my the best part of the experience for me was definitely the games and hanging out with people and making great memories that will definitely last. I would say that all of the teachers were my favorite because all of them were extremely supportive and understanding, and all wanted to help improve like my understanding of Swahili and my learning. A Swahili word I learned in camp was mawimbi, which means waves. Bye! My name is Kendall and I'm 14 years old. When I first heard about the Swahili camp, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a classroom setting where we were only like, we weren't having any practical like use of Swahili and we were just like learning it on a whiteboard and stuff. But when I actually came to the Tayari.Yoruba camp, it was a lot more fun than that. We had a lot of activities and a lot of chances to like apply or in games and activities. And yeah. Some of my the best part of the experience for me was definitely the games and hanging out with people and making great memories that will definitely last. I would say that all of the teachers were my favorite because all of them were extremely supportive and understanding, and all wanted to help improve like my understanding of Swahili and my learning. A Swahili word I learned in camp was mawimbi, which means waves. Bye! My name
Toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami, toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami. Toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami, cheza nami, toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami. Toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami, cheza nami, toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku, cheza nami.
Hello, 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 my people. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're watching from. Welcome again to your favorite stream, Ashawa. Always a pleasure to bring great content to us regarding language, heritage preservation, and everything that has to do with sticking Yoruba for kids. Basically, thank you so much for joining in for today's session. It really is, a great honor to always do this. My name is Busola, and I'm, of course, your own host. And today, again, it's not going to be separate. Today, it's not going to be less of, informative, fun, and helping us to gain perspective on some very important things that has to do with, um, you know, language learning heads and all. Thank you so much again for joining in. And of course, if you had seen the flyer and the videos that we're playing at the instance of, the stream, this is that was to bring you up to speed regarding our Swahili camp that will be commencing on the 16th of August. Of course, if you're on your mobile phone, you can see it on the lower part of your screen. But if you're on YouTube, you must just on your right here. And Swahili Camp is going to be happening on the 16th to the 20th of August 2016. Plans are already top gear going on. People are already registering. And the QR code that you have here on your screen is what takes you to the registration form where you can register and then let your intentions be known. You can do a deposit of $100 for a start. The company itself is around like 399 dollars, 5 days and 4 nights. Let me come again with that. 5 days and 4 nights. That's an wholesome experience there. So you want to take advantage of this for all of my Kenyan people, my Kenyan people, register. This is something you really want any of your, young ones to be a part of. We're looking at this campaign for children or I mean um young kids between the age of 7 and 16. And like I said, the camp is $399. It'll be happening in Upani in Diani. All right. So register. The the registration form is already there in the QR code when you scan it. Thank you so much, every single one. We're so glad to have you be a part of what we are doing. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much. Um it's been a very adventurous July where we've looked at a number of things that are very imperative to the Yoruba culture. We talked about the proverbs and the value that they hold, with respect to helping modern kids understand the Yoruba culture and the value that comes from the way the proverbs and all that. And we had a 5-part series. If you've not had the opportunity to take a look at that session, please make sure you do, because um I mean, it was extremely loaded, quite a lot of things, conversations, gaining perspective. I brought some very important proverbs that every parent wants to have at the forefront of, um, should I use the word, um, your kids, my choice of words now, your kids, core values is something you really want to have at the core value for your kids. All right. So, and then, I mean, we did a bit of recap. I did a um, TLDR for people who may not be able to watch the entire session. And I think it was a great session, quite a lot to unpack in that particular session. So, today, as we are wrapping up the month of July, this is something that I've been overemphasizing over and over and again, but I think there can be too much repetition with respect to something that's, um, holds value, and it doesn't matter the times that you're in, still holds so much value, right? So I said that because they were five proven benefits of having your kids be bilingual. Of course, if you've been joining our shower from day one, this has really been the core of my message, if you would see it that way. All right. So um trying to let you know that, I mean, this is not, as much as this meets the benefits of the child knowing the language, connecting with the language, yeah, all that benefits that have been proven, you know, proven. And these are things that are life skills, right? They are things that anyone needs. And so if we're having a secondary benefit of these benefits, forgive my choice of words, if we're having another benefit, in addition to the main benefit of learning the language and connecting with roots, I think it's a wholesome experience in itself, right? So it's very important that every parent should know that there are proven, you know, benefits for your kids. Now, this time around, I'm focusing basically on the Yoruba language, but of course, this particular stream can apply to any language at all, as long as you know your child, your champ, has is able to speak more than one language fluently. So let's just get into it very quickly. All right. Okay. So, by the way, if you're wondering what is the QR code, why do we have a floating QR code around? So I've kept it there. It's for the registration to the Swahili camp, so that at any point you can be able to scan it and then get access to the form. All right. So, like I said, today we're going to be discussing, very importantly, some five research based reasons raising bilingual kids is the greatest gift you can give to them. All right. By the way, if you're joining us for the first time, please leave a word in the comment section. I'd like to know exactly where you're joining from. What languages do you speak? Um, what country do you live in right now? If you're not living in the actual country that you are from currently. All right. So, I forgot to mention, my name is Busola, and I'm your host here on Ashawa. All right. So let's proceed. So the first thing here is supercharged cognitive flexibility. So bilingualism trains your children's brain to effortlessly, forgive me. Let me take that one more time. Bilingualism trains your children to effortlessly navigate complex systems. So it's been found out that multilingual children develop superior cognitive flexibility, sharper mental adaptability, and enhance problem solving skills. And we've said it over and over and again that where this really comes from um is that part where your child this the part where the child begins to switch between two languages, right? Knowing fully well that trying to refer to one thing, now that the child is bilingual or maybe multilingual, They now know that one thing has different names, right? So that ability to keep switching, it's more like the brain is switching tasks right now. So you want to identify this, and this is the, let's say Yoruba is the required language in that moment. That switch of the brain, moving from one language to another. And then if it's really, of course, I know for most kids or most people, not just kids, who have not really become very fluent, that they mix both of the both languages when they are speaking. This is stuff like um uh Bashin Losibe and Lano. It was necessary that Bunkota Ashe. So what I said was, as we were going there yesterday, it was necessary that the things that we did. So you can see that mix of the Yoruba language and the English and all that. So that switch that happens, you know, see it as an exercise that is happening. When someone is lifting a weight and then pushing and then pushing, what begins to happen is that they begin to develop muscles, develop strength basically and all that. So it's been truly confirmed that switching that happens in the brain with respect to speaking the language and wanting to communicate with it, wanting to be heard, wanting to connect with it, it just builds a secondary benefit. And the secondary benefit is that their cognition becomes more flexible and they become sharp. Again, like I think I've said this tons of time in the previous streams, that this is a life skill in itself. And I think anybody anybody everybody who thrives knows the value of this, being able to have cognitive flexibility to solve complex problem, look at a problem and be able to look at all of the variables and be able to work all of the variables together to come to an actual solution. Because that's one of the things that being bilingual offers you, right? Because primarily there is the primary language that it could either be the native language or it could be maybe English, for an example. All right, there's the primary language that now your ability to then begin to use those languages in different contexts to get across what you want to get across builds cognitive ability. And this cannot be overridden. Like I said, it's a life skill. And this is one of the reasons, of course, why I made it number one, because everyone, I know every parent wants a child or a champ that is very sharp, you know, be able to read the room, you know, not always waiting for instructions to be told exactly what to do before they do it. And it's been proven, right? I'm just making an attempt to help us see the different benefits, because again, these benefits, when you look at it, it's not the direct thing that you are looking for when you want your child, when you're putting your child in a position to learn you know both languages. But then, like I said, it's a life skill that is then accumulated along the line as effort is being made to learn more than one language. So let me know in the chat section what you think. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are about what we just said about bilingualism, helping kids to have um, you know sharper brains that can handle complex systems and then problem solving skills. All right. So let's go to the next thing. So the next thing says there that they develop stronger overall academic outcomes, right? Stronger overall academic outcomes. So it says that knowing their heritage language accelerates academic growth. It never hinders it, right? And it says research shows a direct link between a strong primary heritage language, L1, foundation, and better overall performance across all school subjects. I know fundamentally that every parent wants their kids to be in places where, in a position in life where they have great opportunities, um, and they've been able to source the things that may be a stumbling block to that, right? And academics is one of those things that, I mean, primarily, primarily to a very good level, should position us in a way that opportunities don't slip by us, right? So Um, and there may be that concern as well too. You know, although I'm not sure. I think I would really maybe want to hear from one or two persons if you have anything to say about this, where um helping your child to learn the language begins to affect their overall academic performance in the school. I don't think so. One important thing, I mean, that I think that the Nigerian system really needs to focus on heavily with respect to the academic sector is making the local languages compulsory before you transition to another class. I think to a large extent, the measure of um, um, unimportance that the local language itself has seen in the last few years has primarily been because the educational system itself does not give any credence to it with respect to um, just like the same way you have English. If you don't do well in English, you can't move to the next class. If you don't do well in mathematics, you can't go to the next class and all that. I strongly believe that the Yoruba language should take the same shape, all right, and every other local language as well too should take the same shape because without uh, um um without these languages, I think to a certain extent, the children will be disadvantaged. I think so. I think so. I think so. And it's not, I don't think it would be fair that it's when the opportunities then surface, that's when we now begin to see that, oh my goodness, maybe they should have paid more attention to these things and all that. Somebody may be like, oh, I mean, mention examples and all that. Let me give an example. Um, I think there was a particular time, to get a scholarship for the Ilaje people, you needed to, they used to call this thing maybe an Osupa deck or something like that. I can't remember specifically what it is. And one of the tests when you go to sign to of course, when you have tendered all the necessary documents that shows that, I mean, you're a part of the state and all of that, one of the things that they also use to check is they ask you to speak the language to be certain that, I mean, you really are from that side of town, right? Although I think I know that they've dumb it down on it for a while now, but I mean, hey, look at a scenario like that, all right? But that's on the side basically. But I think it's important that everyone should know that having your kids learn their native language doesn't make them more dull. It doesn't affect their knowledge of the chemistry, the biology, and those other things that makes for, I mean, strong academic stance in the world that we're living in right now. So like we said, research has shown that there's a direct link between a strong primary heritage language foundation and a better overall performance across all school subjects. All right. So again, let me know exactly what you think in the comment section. Let's hear what you think about this. If it is true, if you've had an experience like that before, let's know. All right, thank you so much. Let's move to the next one. We're going to number 3 now. We're going to number 3 now. And of course, by the way, like I said, I mean, if you have any, I mean, either reservations or if there's anything that's maybe from your own experience as well too, you figured that this is actually very true, kindly also share it on the comment section. I think it will do a lot of people a bit of help, to also know that some of this is that we're saying, um we're not just using them for whiling away time basically. So the next one that we have here says that they have natural leadership capabilities. So the secrets to high emotional intelligence starts with multiple languages. Multilingualism equips children with multi-perspective thinking. You heard me say that initially before now, right? Creating a direct research link between language mastery and early leadership potential. People who can speak more than one language, they always feel like bridge builders, right? Particularly when there's an occasion where whatever two languages or more that they know, and then there are two separate groups of people who are trying to make an attempt to connect, but they only know one of those languages that he or she knows, what happens is that that opportunity to maybe stand as the interpreter and all that, it begins to introduce the child in bits to, you know, being a bridge builder. And of course, really I think that's the bedrock of leadership, right? To see a problem and be able to boldly step forward to, I mean, provide a solution to it. That's really how we start. All right. And I mean, you've seen it here that it's been scientifically proven that um when a child, has multilingual abilities, naturally, they develop high emotional intelligence, and then know when to step into events, they can read rooms. Again, you may ask the question, how do you know this is true? Like I said, some of these things were pulled out from actual researches, not just prompting AI, like, hey, give me something. No, this is from actual researches, right? That proves that these things have been seen to actually effectively work with younger kids. So the number three benefit, which, like I said, I think every parent wants for their kids, because I think the joy of every parent, even for me, when I've seen parents, relate with their kids, certain junction, whether maybe when, I mean, there are scenarios where things are happening, and there's that expectation that, I mean, I just expected you to know exactly what you needed to do at that particular time. You see, and such abilities, being able to take initiative, stand forward, having a solution and being confident enough to come forward and say, okay, you know what, this is my solution, and not feeling timid or feeling like, oh, will it be accepted, will it work, and all that. Those things are core to leadership. If you see any child behave that way, apart from maybe natural traits, maybe because they are parents and all that, it speaks to something deeper, right? It speaks to something deeper. And research has found that that particular life skill of natural leadership, taking initiative, being empathic, knowing when to step in on behalf of people, that can actually be developed by speaking more than one, excuse me, speaking more than one language. All right. So before I move on to the next last 2 points that we have, for the sake of those of our people who are just joining, who have not heard about the Swahili camp, right? So currently, 1 minute. So currently, we're preparing for a Swahili camp. We're preparing currently for a Swahili camp, and this camp is going to be happening from on the 16th of August to the 20th. You want to register? The camp is just $399, and it's going to be for 5 days and 4 nights, where the kids will be camped. The kids would be the kids that this camp is meant for are kids between the ages of 7 and 16 years old. And like I said, it's going to be 5 days and 4 nights for just $399. You want to take advantage of this, all right? Let me quickly just play some one of the testimonials. I've done that earlier before, but just to aid you seeing exactly what we're talking about. Here we go.
My name is Kendo, and I'm 14 years old. When I first heard about the Swahili camp, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a classroom setting where we were only like, we weren't having any practical like use of Swahili, and we were just like learning it on a whiteboard and stuff. But when I actually came to the Tayari.Yoruba camp, it was a lot more fun than that. We had a lot of activities and a lot of chances to like apply or in games and activities. And yeah. Some of my the best part of the experience for me was definitely the games and hanging out with people, and making great memories that will definitely last. Um, I would say that all of the teachers were my favorite because all of them were extremely supportive and understanding, and all wanted to help improve like my understanding of Swahili and my learning. A Swahili word I learned in camp was mawimbi, which means waves. Bye. My
There's a love, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. There's a love, toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku. There's a love.
Okay, there you have it. The Swahili camp. So try and make sure that you register. This camp is meant for the kids, and don't hold back any child from having this amazing experience. All right, let's proceed. So, just a quick rundown before we. Um, so we said that the first benefit of having your child be bilingual is that there's a supercharged cognitive flexibility that they develop, right? And then number two, we talked about that they will have stronger overall academic outcomes, all right? And then the third thing that we mentioned was also that they have natural leadership capacities. And all of these things, if you have noticed, which I will still emphasize again, they are life skills that everyone needs or wants their children to have. So these are like secondary benefits of actually taking the native language very seriously. All right, so the next one that we have, next one that we have that touches base on the five proven benefits of being bilingual. Okay, great. So the next one that we have here says that they are um unshakable, they have unshakable self-confidence and identity. Excuse me. They have unshakable self-confidence and identity. It says a strong multicultural background is true superpower. Embracing a heritage language develops a grounded sense of cultural pride and self worth, acting as a protective buffer against bias and peer pressure. And where I think this is really important is anything, anything in, well, that is not against vices. That's not a vice, rather. I didn't mean that's not against vice. I mean that is not a vice. Anything that directly contributes to a child's self confidence, a child's self esteem, is definitely worth looking at. It's definitely worth investing attention, time, and effort into, right? And there's been the research that one of the things that makes for, I remember vividly, you know, um, in secondary school, as much as the primary language we used in school was, was English. When the kids that were Yoruba, were together playing, and then we're playing because there are certain um, local games or cultural games that are very idiosyncratic to the different cultures here in Nigeria. So when we are playing those games, or at times when specific, and the one I specifically remember was like the first day at school, right? That first day, you know, just hearing people speak the language. I mean, it gave me confidence that hey, I belong here because they were speaking the language that I knew. They were saying something that I could relate with, as much as it was not the general language that we spoke, with respect to the entire school and all that. So, and that's for me personally, right? That's for me personally, and I can imagine, the many other people as well too that had similar experiences. I'm going to be bringing an amazing guest on board next week. Her name is Cheseline. Amazing lady. I mean, I spoke with her recently and she was sharing with me how, you know, her not being able to know the language has been a concern for her in a long time. And of course, right now it has become my primary focus to both learn the language and find a way to teach to help other persons who have the same issues, close that gap already. And one important thing that Cheslin said, which really speaks to this matter of confidence and identity thing, is that the moment she started learning the language, even as an adult, she started feeling more confident, right? Primarily because now she's living in a country where it's glaring that, I mean, I'm among many people who we don't look alike. Their hair looks different from me and all that. Now, again, this is not to say that because we always want to clarify that this is not in the bids to create any um what's it called now, divisions, between maybe the Western world and Africans and all that. That's not the intent behind all of this. All right. It's basically speaking to the necessity of knowing the language, and of course, when you're in environments like that where it seems like there are a lot of unknowns, it just becomes no brainer to question some certain things. And sometimes, when there are more people who feel confident about who they are that you are not, you may begin to quickly question who you are. All right. And this is the reason it becomes very important that, when the child knows the language, has known or knows the language for a very long time, she understands the implication, or he or she understands the implication beyond just the lingual. He or she understands the fact that I'm a part of a community, I'm a part of a people, and the language itself is an identity. And of course, knowing fully well that she's well accepted in that community builds some very strong level of confidence for her or for him. And like I've said, forgive me sound like a broken record, anything that directly contributes to the self-esteem of a child is what is worth all the attention that it gets. All right. So that's that about that. So that's unshakable self-confidence and identity. All right, so let's go to the next one, which will be the final benefits for today, and then we'll just recap everything, and that would be all for today. The slides are taking a little bit of time. So tell me, by the way, in the comment section, let me know at what particular point, you know, did your ability to speak multiple languages, you know, was of self confidence benefit to you. All right. And now this is the big one. This is the big one because I know how desirous of connections grandparents can be, with respect to their grandchildren. And of course, if not, what other thing makes a grandchild to be more connected to their kids? Of course, except for maybe in scenarios where the grandparent is not really like a very educated one in the sense that she speaks English and probably the modern language of the time, right? So, but generally speaking, deeper intergenerational connections happen for children when they're able to speak their native language. So language bridges the physical and emotional gap across generations. That is very true. And of course, it's even one of the reasons why we're here as Tari.live, and it's really the core of everything that we are doing. Right. So children build deep, meaningful bond with grandparents and elders through authentic daily conversation and shared storytelling. I mean, even if not necessarily that storytelling components part, but that part of everyday conversation. Again, like we said, I mean, once I can speak what you can speak, I feel connected to you already. Except, of course, there's now a ground for us to say, okay, you know what? Because we speak the same language does not, it doesn't mean that we're interconnected and all that. Maybe for some reasons, one or the other, but I don't want to go that direction. So, but it's true. that um you know kids, for example, I know a particular child, when the grandparents call, for the sake of the child's connection, they speak English, and all that. How are you? And all that. And then the child is extremely excited and all that. But in the same vein, if that effort was not channeled with respect to learning the local language, what you see is that you're going to get more effect. That will give more effect, you know, than the English. Now, what I mean by more effect is school is already teaching the child English. This is the only place where the child can learn the local language, right? But that aside, it's one of the things that I'll also be touching at a later time as well. So that brings me to the end of the five proven benefits for your kids to be bilingual, right? Let's run through them from top all over again, and then we'll call it alive. So the first one is that they have supercharged cognitive flexibility. Now, what that simply means is that multilingual children develop superior cognitive flexibility, sharper mental ability, and enhanced problem solving skills. Number two is that they have stronger overall academic outcomes. Knowing their heritage language accelerates academic growth, it never hinders it. So, research has shown a direct link between a strong primary heritage language foundation and better overall performance across all school subjects. Next one we have is the natural leadership benefit, right? So, we said that the secret to high emotional intelligence starts with multiple languages. Multilingualism equips children with a multi perspective thinking, creating a direct research link between language mastery and early leadership potential. And for me, I think amongst all of them, this and the last one are really very important. I like it when I can see kids that can take initiative, ask for help, they can be independent when necessary, they can speak, they are not timid. When there's something in their heart, they can compassionately, communicate it. Of course, I'm not talking about the whole time trust thing and all that, so, and those things are definitely traits of being a good leader for every child. So for numbers, for the next one, we have unshakable self-confidence and identity. And we've said it a lot of times. I mean, if the child already knows that he or she is a part of a community and is accepted there, boom, confidence is built within them. So embracing the heritage language develops a strong, grounded sense of cultural pride and self worth, acting as a protective buffer against bias and peer pressure. Okay, and then the last one, which is deep intergenerational connection. So those are the five benefits that I want to share with you today. For all of our Yoruba parents out there, I want to encourage you, try as much as possible to get your kids speaking the Yoruba language, speak it to them. One of our guests one time even said, there's no a, a language not used is useless. So I think that's me paraphrasing what he said and all that, but it's very important to have your kids learn the language. So raising bilingual children isn't just about preserving the past, you're also giving them tools for shaping their future. Like I said before, these benefits are basically life skills that every single one needs. So join us. You can check our website at Tayari, um, Tayari.live. Currently we're taking, you know, fun and engaging lessons for Swahili, for for Yoruba right now, and the classes are very gamified, gamified experience. One or two, um, I've shared one or two um tips, sharing the screen here, walking through how the website works and all that. Very simple experience. So, but just check it out. It's Live, and you can check us up on Instagram. We're also on Instagram. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn as well too. Give us a like, give us a word. If you like what we are doing, let's hear from you. Let's know what you think. And also about this live session, if there are other specific topics that you think you would want us to focus on, to help more people gain perspective, or maybe yourself gain perspective, we will definitely be willing to take your priceless feedbacks. Thank you so much again. It's really been an honor hosting you on a shower today. Remember, to you know keep speaking your heritage language to your kids. Help to get them on board. The benefits are endless. All right. So that brings me to the end of today's stream. I'm looking forward to the next one with you in the closest future. Okay. So thank you so much for joining in today, and I will be signing out by playing the Swahili camping advert again. So take care. Have a lovely, lovely week.
My name is Kendo, and I'm 14 years old. When I first heard about the Swahili camp, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a classroom setting where we were only like we weren't having any practical like use of Swahili, and we were just like learning it on a whiteboard and stuff. But when I actually came to the Tayari.Yoruba camp, it was a lot more fun than that. We had a lot of activities and a lot of chances to like apply or in games and activities. And yeah. Some of my the best part of the experience for me was definitely the games and hanging out with people, and making great memories that will definitely last. Um, I would say that all of the teachers were my favorite because all of them were extremely supportive and understanding, and all wanted to help improve like my understanding of Swahili and my learning. A Swahili a word I learned in camp was mawimbi, which means waves. Bye. My name is Kendo, and I'm 14 years old. When I first heard about the Swahili camp, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a classroom setting where we were only like we weren't having any practical like use of Swahili, and we were just like learning it on a whiteboard and stuff. But when I actually came to the Tayari.Yoruba camp, it was a lot more fun than that. We had a lot of activities and a lot of chances to like apply or in games and activities. And yeah. Some of my the best part of the experience for me was definitely the games and hanging out with people, and making great memories that will definitely last. I would say that all of the teachers were my favorite because all of them were extremely supportive and understanding, and all wanted to help improve like my understanding of Swahili and my learning. A Swahili a word I learned in camp was mawimbi, which means waves. Bye.
There's a oh yeah, oh yeah. There's a toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku. There's a oh yeah, oh yeah. There's a toka nilipokuona kwenye giza la usiku.
Bye.